Matthew Buckley is joining us now, an FA-18 fighter pilot and a former pilot for American Airlines. Matthew, thank you for joining our coverage. So between the two of them, they had a combined 1,500 plus hours flying experience.
They did, Sandra, and in some ways it's a lot, and in some ways it's a little. Something really interesting that I've heard very recently is the Secretary of Defense Hegseth said they were wearing night vision goggles. Now that's going to make the hair on the back of my neck stand up a little bit. I've flown with night vision goggles probably hundreds of hours, and it's very hard to wear night vision goggles around a city. It's almost too much light, and it can wash out your night vision goggles. So I don't know if he meant to say they were on an NVG, a night vision goggle training mission, or they were actually wearing the goggles, or one of the crew was wearing the goggles, because it can be night vision goggles can enhance your situational awareness, or they can actually detract from your situational awareness as well.
Yeah, we don't know, Matthew, if they had the night vision goggles in use at the time, but given the fact that plane, the CRJ-700, was coming in on short final and had its landing lights on, if you had night vision goggles on, that aircraft should have lit up like the sun.
John, that's exactly right. Or too much. It would actually wash out the night vision goggles. So a lot of questions to be answered. It's very sad, because I obviously feel for the families and the victims, but the folks in the tower, right? When an air traffic controller says, "Hey, you have traffic, this right here," and the helicopter called, "Hey, traffic in sight," mentally to an air traffic controller, check, that helo has the traffic in sight, I can go start doing other things. Clearly, he did not, or she did not, have that traffic in sight. So the folks in the control tower are obviously doing a little soul searching today too. I've seen what are allegedly the radar tracks, and when you see two radar targets converging on each other at similar or same altitudes, I haven't been to air traffic controller school, but I guarantee on day one, they probably tell you, hey, if you see something like that happening, call that traffic out again. PAT 25, confirm you see traffic at your left 11 co-altitude. So this mishap is a tough one to digest. And there's two schools of thought, sadly, after an aviation mishap. There's a group that says we should just wait and hang out and wait for the investigators. I'm kind of in the school of thought that says this should not have happened. We need to know why this happened as soon as possible. Kind of an Occam's razor approach to this. What's the most reasonable probability for this cause, and then learn from it. Day one of flight training at Naval Air Station Pensacola, rule one of flying is don't hit anything. Don't hit anything in the air or on the ground. And I remember an old crusty flight instructor telling me, Wiz, everybody's trying to kill you, including you. So keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, we hear you. And as far as the night vision glasses, it reminds me in the overnight reporting, one of our reporters, Chad Pergram, was on the ground, obviously pitch black. He was delivering his news report. They had the lights up for the camera for TV. And those that were searching the river, the first responders that were in the river at the time, searching for to recover anyone, said, we need you guys to turn those lights down because it was impairing their vision. Even though they had night vision glasses, it was impairing their ability to carry out their search thoroughly. That being said, you said, what's the most reasonable answer for this? I wonder if we're going to get an update from the NTSB here, 2:45 p.m. Eastern time, we are told. Do you believe they will actually be able to determine the cause of this?
Well, Sandra, it's a great question. Mishap investigators, I've been involved in some mishap investigations. They start at the top of the list. Was it weather? No. Was it mechanical? No. So they're literally, as you and I are talking right now, they're going through a checklist of what it couldn't have been, and they will ultimately get to what it is. But after looking at everything, Sandra and John, to date, it's just an age-old rule in aviation. Aviate, navigate, communicate. Especially, sometimes flying in and out of D.C., we call it the Battle of Britain. there are a lot of airplanes flying around, commercial, and then obviously we have a lot of military aircraft and dignitaries. So it is incumbent upon the pilot in command of every aircraft in that type of environment to have eyeballs out of the cockpit. As I said, everybody's trying to kill you in aviation, including you sometimes.
Yeah. So Matthew, did I hear you correctly? You've flown in and out of DCA?
You bet. Back in the day, absolutely.
So tell us what it's like coming in on the finals here, particularly at night, because I know that when they're landing from the northern approach, you've got to fly the river. They make that hard right turn over Gravelly Point. But if you're coming up the river from the south, you've got to make a pretty hard left over Joint Base Anacostia Bolling. So what is it like? What's going through your mind? How preoccupied are you with the actual landing when there might be other traffic in the area? What are you focused on?
Great question, John. And as you're coming into land, you are in the zone, right? So the flight crew in the front of that CRJ is focused on landing, gear down, flaps down, landing checklist. They're looking at the runway. Is there anybody on the runway? We've been cleared to land. Is there anybody who didn't listen to the tower and they're crossing the runway? So they're in the zone. So the pilot in command of the airliner, I guarantee you almost that if they heard a traffic call, hey, Army, Pat 25, you have RJ traffic, do you have them in sight? That would have made me sit up a little bit as the captain and said, okay, do they have us? As soon as the helo pilot responded with, yes, traffic in sight, I'm done with that traffic. I am focused on landing, and that is all I care about. So it's really sad, folks, that I don't think they even know they're dead right now. That was just completely out of the blue and unexpected.
Matthew, real quick, final there. Did you ever have a close encounter when you were coming in and out of that airport?
Not in D.C. It's like I said, it's the Battle of Britain, but it's controlled chaos. Everybody has assigned altitudes. People have eyeballs out of the cockpit. You have the tower. It's one of the most controlled airspace on the planet. So no, I knock on wood, I never had any close calls.
Got it. Thank you very much.
All right, Matthew Buckley, thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks, guys.